Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today I have the pleasure of reviewing a track from an act named Raw Deff featuring Ren Thomas, Jibba the Gent and DC the MIDI alien, titled Get the Memo. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. We're going to be listening through it from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do it. That was nice filtered guitars to begin with. A little bit of an interesting sort of trippy synth in the center. A lo-fi hip-hop kind of vibe there. Oh.
Get the memo that we back, that ain't less than perfect. We ain't settling for that. Facts. What you want now? What you gonna do? Get some new heat, we gotta put you on to.
Damn, man, the production's tight. This is produced by DC the MIDI aliens on top, so I'm assuming they're responsible for like the beats and everything like that.
Listen up, get the memo that we hear. First contender for the record of the year.
Oh.
What you want now? What you gonna do? What you got? What you need? This here is part two.
What you want? What you gonna do? This here is part two. So part two is this. Has there been one before this? Get the memo. Did we miss something initially and we've been told to sort of pay attention? Interesting kind of a sort of progression we've got here with these keys, the synths, the drums, the bass line and all that.
I'm playing Russian roulette with a fully auto. All this weight on my shoulders like pulling cargo. An embargo on my self-hate, tell fate. I've been doing good since things changed. I felt great. Now it's back to work, no more drawing board. If y'all so woke, what the fuck is you yawning for?
If you're so woke, what is you yawning for? That's a smooth line. That's a smooth line. I dig it. I like the wordplay in this, it's clever. The motif behind it is neutral enough, a little bit of sass behind it, but yeah, it's neutral enough that you can sort of get away with almost anything
at this point. You want beef? I'm the carnivore. Fuck it, we can start a war. Break some tools out like a hardware store. Y'all better knock it off. Sail on through the night shift. Told me this murder meets the Commodores. He got soul for a violent mind. Another Doc Brown rapper, he behind the times. I swear, I ain't even trying to rhyme. I just talking the beat synchronizes by design.
I just talk and the beat synchronizes by design. It's not just testament to the audio production that the vocals coming through so clearly amongst the synths and everything else going on in the background and the smoothness of that bass line with the sort of trepidation of the drums. But it's just that the flow is natural. These are experienced musicians that are responsible for this. It's a great first impression.
God level of rap, sending you back where you came from. Y'all ain't even smart enough to play dumb. Listen up, get the memo that we back. That ain't less than perfect.
Ah, so that's part two, right? So we're back.
What you want now? What you gonna do? Get some new heat, we gotta put you on to. Listen up, get the memo that we hear. First contender for the record of the year. What you want now? What you gonna do? What you got? What you need? This here is part two.
I do this for the barbershop debaters. My partners locked in cages and the obnoxious haters who throw salt in wounds while the record spin. I see them, I'm throwing hands that oppressing his brim. Lapping the planet like traveling strippers.
It's criminal that these guys have only got like something like 35 views on this video. They deserve a lot more attention, honestly. This is some of the most professional rap and hip-hop that I've heard in quite a while.
Get found underwater, put cadavers in cinder. You ain't no felon, you an average offender who went to Catholic school, had a bowl cut and suspenders. My co-defenders, the ones you need to size up, supply cuts for $5, 10 times. This guy's nuts. Wisecrack.
And I love the little sort of bits where we sort of change the vocal timbre with someone going like, that guy's nuts, etc. You know, a little bit of a sense of humor to it. A little bit of playfulness there and amongst the jabbing.
But I don't do no joking part. Open scars and pull your girl out panties at a local bar. Feel like the world sound like Benny clones. I put a hole in the same place the Henny goes. Derelict, sniff the yayo out of Parliament. Every bar is handcrafted. Bitch, I'm an artisan.
Listen up, get the memo that we back. That ain't less than perfect. We ain't settling for that.
I like the double tracking of the vocals occasionally for emphasis on certain words. I really enjoy that. I think that that's well done. Adds a sort of a great sort of sense of movement and heft to the weight of the track.
What you want now? What you gonna do? Get some new heat, we gotta put you on to. Listen up, get the memo that we hear. First contender for the record of the year. What you want now? What you gonna do? What you got? What you need? This here is part two.
Jump man, I had to fly a kite, cause they didn't get the memo that it's all alright. Different Ren handed me the FNN, so I'm popping in the clip, cause it's on sight. Record of the year, here's some bullet points. One dude is an alien, he landed in a spaceship full of joints. And Rod Diggy, he's the N.E. Biggie, mixed with Sean P and ODB, he get busy. Then this other motherfucker, he been nice, he been better.
slightly different ways of approaching it. Like this guy's got more of a legato vibe to his bars, and I dig it. It's easy, sort of easy enough to figure out who's who.
Y'all froze up like he cocked the sawed off. Seen it all and we've taken notes. Now we go for throws. So every song that we own gonna be full of quotes. You can bet the firm on that, or you can check the record cause it's well-known facts. Sealed with wax, stamped by a king. We hit harder than crack. Listen to the bell ring.
Listen up, get
I'm back into that chorus. Okay.
We ain't settling for that facts. What you want now? What you gon' do? Get some new heat, we gotta put you on to.
I mean, 3 verses in a 4-minute 24 track's fine. You know, the form factor is great. And the motif behind it is sort of, again, neutral enough that you can get away with sort of choruses or different rappers on top of it.
What you want now? What you gon' do? What you got? What you need? This here is part 2.
Yeah, no, it's sick. I like the simplicity of it. Bum 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 bum. That sort of mid-range melody on top there. That's a sub-layer to the vocals that are the focal point of this mix. That's great. Are we gonna fade out, or are we gonna keep that the volume the whole way? We're gonna fade out. Got that old school kind of 90s hip hop vibe to it. I dig it. No, that's well done. I got time for that. That's great. That's great, because that is Get the Memo, Raw Deff featuring Ren Thomas and Jibba the Gent, produced by DC the MIDI Alien. And this is my conclusion of this track. What do I think it's about? I think it is about an individual or individuals who are letting the crowd know, letting the listener know that these guys are back. Did you get the memo? These people are rapping, they're producing the music, they're meant to be paid attention to. If it ain't perfect, they're not going to have it in there. You know, this is no second grade stuff. This is the real deal. It's harder than cocaine, as they say. It's a hell of a track, a hell of a vibe there. It's nice to get the different angles from Raw Deff and Ren Thomas and Jibba the Gent. They're great rappers. Their words came through nice and clearly. The flows there were varied flows there. You could tell who was who. It was nice and distinct, not just from a vocal quality and production perspective, but also from like a performance perspective. You got a good idea of their different personalities and everything like that. There was a great sort of way of approaching it. You know, the way they communicated with the listener was very natural. It didn't seem forced or anything like that. A very authentic performance. I enjoyed sort of hearing their own individual perspectives on stuff and everything like that, and I think that there was a nice sense of chemistry between the different vocalists involved. They went really well between each other. And yeah, no, it was a really professional performance all around. There was no stuttering, no stumbling. Great use of wordplay there with the lyrics. It was fun. It was a really great first impression of these individual musicians, and I do think that they deserve more attention. The motif behind it was that kind of like 90s hip hop sort of R&B vibe there. It's kind of an old school kind of groove with those basses, the drum kits, like the filtered synths and the guitar parts and all that behind it with the keys and the main melody. I like that the vocals were a focal point, but I also enjoy the fact that the motif, the theme behind it, the accompaniment could stand on its own, like in the fade out. I like the fact I didn't feel the need to sort of like decorate that outro bit with just the instrumental bit with their own voices. They just allowed it to play out and fade out. I thought that was a really classy decision, and I think that they absolutely smashed it. The drums there with those 16th note grooves on top of the legato sort of whole note bass line there. Dun dun dun. There was one main melody there that was catchy and sort of like you could remember it afterwards as well as during, and it was easy to follow along to after the first listen. And again, it was nice and flexible with what it suited. You had a minor tonality to it, a little bit of sort of menace to it, but it wasn't too much, it wasn't too overwhelming. You know, so I think it's fairly accessible for a lot of people who are, whether you're into hip hop and rap or not. At 424, the structure with the 3 verses, 1 per rapper, I think was a smart decision as well, with the main artist who is Raw Deff, I think, doing the choruses, which again is smart. It's just common sense stuff, fundamentals 101. So I'm happy with the decisions made there. I think the production, recording, mixing, and mastering was sensational. You know, without any filler in the track, you really just needed to get that last sort of staple handled there. I think the quality of the vocal, sort of recording of the vocals, the filtering, EQing, the compression, the way everything sort of slid in with a little bit of repeaters occasionally, some little Foley bits people sampled on the sides or something like that. It was dope. It was great. Bits of double track in there of the vocals as well to kind of add a little bit sort of more heft, especially in the chorus sections, were a smart idea. Helped to differentiate between the verses and the chorus. You know, smart stuff, sensible, like really sensible production. Like the mixing, the leveling of the tracks combined with the size of the mix and the headphones, the way things were panned and recorded, whether they were samples or recorded, I don't know, I don't mind. It sounded great regardless. There were no weird resonances in the frequency spectrum. It was nice and wide in the stereo field. It was nice and loud with no weird, with limiting compression, was handled adeptly. And that's my review of this track. Get the Memo, featuring Ren Thomas, Jibba the Gent, and DC the MIDI Alien from Raw Deff. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show these musicians some love via their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands Out.